Today, at the stage of life where days carry a quieter rhythm and reflection becomes second nature, we start to realize the deeper wisdom that has grown with us over the years. As parents, we've devoted ourselves to the well-being of our children, sacrificing, nurturing, and guiding them through every challenge life has thrown their way. The bond we share with them is precious, woven with memories of joy, hardship, and countless sacrifices. Yet, as we move into the golden years, it becomes more vital than ever to understand something. Not every thought or feeling is meant to be shared with them as we age. Our connection to our children is undeniable. From the moment they were born, our happiness has been deeply tied to theirs. But as we grow older, we must carefully consider the weight our words carry. Sharing certain burdens, regrets, or unspoken feelings can unintentionally place a heavy emotional strain on them. It's natural to want to confide in those we love, especially as we reflect on the journey behind us. But there are truths that, when unspoken, allow for healthier, more peaceful relationships to flourish. We'll explore the fine balance between sharing and silence, how to navigate family dynamics in a way that nurtures your connection without placing the past or future's weight on your children. Because sometimes, the greatest act of love is knowing when to simply let peace speak louder than words. Our golden years should be a time of harmony, and fostering that peace often means recognizing when restraint can serve our relationships better than full disclosure. Before we dive further into this, we want to invite you to think about your own experiences. Have there been moments where you felt that certain things were better left unsaid? If these reflections resonate with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with those who may need this message, and subscribe to our channel for more insights on living a fulfilling life in your later years. Together, we'll discover how to embrace this new chapter with grace and wisdom, finding joy not only in what we share, but in the spaces of silence we leave behind. Let's talk about how to approach this stage of life with a new kind of strength. One that values the power of thoughtful silence and ensures that your relationships remain a source of peace, not pressure. 1. Avoid blaming your parents for your circumstances. Everybody will become older one day, we know it, and when your age grows up, your capacity to work, to remember things, even your energy, may gradually decrease. Yet, this phase of life offers profound wisdom, freedom, and peace, if we choose to embrace it. One crucial lesson for living a happier life as we age is this: avoid blaming your parents for your circumstances. As we look back on our lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of attributing our difficulties to the decisions our parents made. You might think, if only my father had worked harder, maybe I'd have had more opportunities. Or, if my mother had been more ambitious, perhaps I could have had a better education. These thoughts, however, serve no purpose other than to create frustration and bitterness. Worse yet, when we vocalize these grievances to our children, we set the stage for a cycle of blame that could continue for generations. Our children might begin to scrutinize our choices, wondering why we didn't do more for them. Now imagine how that could feel. A life spent pointing fingers at the past prevents us from enjoying the present and blocks the path to peace. Everybody has faced their own battles, and our parents were no different. They did the best they could with the resources, knowledge, and circumstances they had at the time. Holding on to resentment keeps us stuck in the past, unable to move forward and take full responsibility for our own lives. What truly matters is how we choose to live today. When we let go of blame and embrace forgiveness, we not only free ourselves, but also set an example for those around us. By accepting that our parents did their best, we teach our children to approach us with that same understanding and grace. This shift creates a legacy of compassion rather than resentment, and it allows for a deeper sense of contentment as we grow older. Taking responsibility for our own lives, our happiness, and our actions is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves and those who come after us. It's about finding peace with the past, letting go of old grievances, and choosing to focus on what we can control. As we age, this becomes even more essential. It's not the number of years that define the quality of life, but the mindset with which we approach those years. Let's talk about Emily, a woman in her late 50s. Emily has worked hard her entire life, raising 2 children, holding down a job, and trying to keep her household together. But deep inside, she's always carried a resentment toward her mother. Emily's mother wasn't the nurturing, supportive figure she wished she had. She wasn't there when Emily needed advice during her teenage years, and she didn't provide the emotional comfort that Emily craved. As a result, Emily often thought, if only my mother had been different, maybe I wouldn't struggle so much with confidence today. Maybe I would have been more successful in my career or had an easier time raising my own kids. Emily, now a mother herself, found that those feelings of resentment never quite went away. Whenever her children faced difficulties, she would quietly wonder how different her life would have been if her mother had been more involved. Emily didn't express these thoughts openly, but her children could sense the tension. They noticed how their mother always seemed distant when talking about her childhood, and they picked up on the subtle comments about how things weren't easy growing up. Over time, these small signals began to affect how Emily's own children saw their relationship with her. Her daughter, Sarah, started to wonder if Emily had similar regrets about their relationship. Did she think she hadn't done enough for her children? Did Emily silently hold on to disappointments about her own choices as a mother? This unspoken tension began to grow, creating a subtle but noticeable distance between Emily and her daughter. Now, here's where the story could have taken a different turn. One day, Emily sat down with her daughter, and instead of letting those unspoken feelings linger, she chose to share her truth. She said, I've spent a long time feeling frustrated with my own mother, thinking that if she had been more supportive, maybe my life would have turned out differently. But I've realized something important. My mother was doing the best she could with what she knew. She had her own struggles, and while she wasn't perfect, she gave me what she could. And I want you to know that I've let go of that blame. This conversation changed everything. Emily's daughter, Sarah, felt an immediate shift. The weight of generational resentment lifted, and she no longer had to wonder whether her mother was carrying regrets. Emily's decision to forgive her own mother not only freed her from the bitterness she had held onto for years, but it also gave her daughter the space to have a healthier, more open relationship with her. Imagine how different Emily's life could have been if she had continued to hold on to that resentment. If she had allowed those feelings to fester, she might have passed down that same sense of disappointment to her daughter. Sarah could have grown up feeling that, no matter what she did, it might never be enough. The cycle of blame would have continued, silently affecting their relationship. But because Emily made the choice to forgive and accept her mother's imperfections, she stopped that cycle in its tracks. She taught her daughter a valuable lesson, that life isn't about holding on to what didn't go right, but about making peace with the past and focusing on the present. Now, Emily's relationship with her daughter is stronger than ever. They talk openly, without the undercurrent of tension that once existed. Sarah feels more connected to her mother, knowing that she doesn't have to live under the shadow of unspoken disappointment. And Emily, in her later years, feels lighter, freer, and more at peace with herself. Her decision to forgive her mother set the stage for a healthier, more compassionate family dynamic. Sarah, seeing her mother's example, now approaches her own life with more understanding and grace, knowing that nobody's perfect and that forgiveness is a path to peace. Holding on to old grievances protects us somehow. But in reality, it only keeps us stuck in the past. By choosing to let go, as Emily did, you not only free yourself, but you also give your children the gift of peace. You teach them that life is about moving forward, not dwelling on what could have been. As you continue to grow older, you'll find that letting go of those old resentments makes room for something far more valuable: peace in your heart and stronger, more meaningful relationships with the people you love. So when the temptation arises to revisit old hurts and blame others for the paths our lives have taken, remember that you have the power to change the narrative. Let forgiveness be your guide. This is how we live with dignity, joy, and fulfillment in our later years. 2. Never speak ill of your spouse. And next, we ask you to never speak poorly of your spouse. Think about the weight that words carry, especially when shared with your children, grandchildren, or even close friends. After decades of living together, it's natural that you've experienced moments of frustration, perhaps some unspoken disappointments, or small irritations that have grown over time. However, airing those grievances, especially in your later years, can do more harm than good, not just to your relationship, but to your family as well. You see, when you criticize your spouse, you're not simply sharing your feelings. You are placing an invisible burden on the shoulders of those who hear it, particularly your children. They've watched you both navigate life together, and in their eyes, your partnership is something to be admired, even if they don't always say it. Speaking negatively about your spouse, no matter how small the criticism, causes a rift. It creates confusion, and it may even make your children question the stability of their own understanding of love and commitment. Your spouse is much more than just the person you've lived with for all these years. They are also your children's other parent, the person who helped raise them, and the partner who stood by your side through the best and worst moments. When you speak kindly about your spouse, you are not only protecting the bond between you two, but also showing your children the beauty of patience, respect, and forgiveness. On the other hand, when you dwell on the negatives, even casually, it forces your children into a difficult emotional dilemma, one where they feel torn between their loyalty to both parents. We must also consider the deeper message you are sending. You are teaching your children what it means to stay committed through the inevitable challenges of long-term relationships. If they see you handling those challenges with kindness and understanding, they will carry that lesson into their own relationships. Your actions today will shape the way they approach their future, their marriage, and even how they raise their own children. Imagine for a moment how different the family atmosphere becomes when there's a sense of grace and empathy in the air. Even when disagreements arise, by choosing to focus on the positive aspects of your spouse, you foster an environment of love and understanding. No one is perfect, and it's easy to zero in on each other's flaws, especially when those flaws have been magnified over years of living together. But the strength of a lasting marriage comes from choosing to see past the imperfections and honoring the partnership that has weathered so much. Think of the kind of memories you want your children to carry with them. As they grow older, they will look back on how you treated each other in your later years. Do you want them to remember bitterness, unresolved frustrations, and complaints? Or do you want them to look back with admiration, knowing that despite the challenges, you always spoke with dignity and respect? Every time you choose to speak well of your spouse, you are laying the groundwork for a family legacy built on mutual respect, love, and kindness. We understand that after many years together, it's easy to let small frustrations slip out in conversation. But those little remarks can leave lasting impressions. Instead of giving in to those moments, consider taking a step back. Reflect on what you're about to say. Will it build your family up, or will it create unnecessary tension? Will it bring healing, or will it sow seeds of doubt and division? Words, as simple as they may seem, are incredibly powerful. And in your later years, your influence on the younger generations is more significant than you might realize. What you say about your spouse, whether in private conversations or in the presence of family, has the potential to shape the emotional health of your entire family. Choose to speak words that unite, that heal, and that reinforce the bond that has held you all together. It's not just about avoiding conflict or biting your tongue. It's about recognizing the value of the relationship you've built. Your children are watching, always learning from you, even as adults. When you choose to honor your spouse with your words, you are showing them that real love isn't about avoiding problems, but about handling those problems with grace, patience, and an unwavering commitment to the partnership you've cultivated over the years. Remember, in the long run, your children will model their own relationships after yours. By speaking kindly of your spouse, you set the standard for how they should treat their partners, even in difficult times. You are not just preserving your own marriage, but you are influencing the future of your family's emotional well-being. Long after you're gone, your children will remember how you spoke about each other, how you treated each other. Will they remember moments of criticism, or will they carry with them the memory of love, compassion, and respect that you shared? Every word you speak is part of that legacy. So speak wisely, speak kindly, and let your words be a reflection of the enduring bond you have nurtured over a lifetime. 3. Do not compare your children to each other. In our life, one of the most important things we need to be mindful of is this: never compare your child to their sibling or to anyone else. It can be easy to fall into that trap, especially when one child might appear to be excelling in school, behaving more responsibly, or showing greater maturity. However, this tendency to compare is not only harmful to the child being measured against, but also to the one receiving the praise. The ripple effects of this can cause tension in the family dynamic, setting siblings against each other and leading to emotional struggles that may take years to heal. When we begin to compare children, we unintentionally set up a scenario where one child feels the weight of being the better one, while the other feels like they are constantly falling short. The child who is praised might start to internalize the belief that their value comes from outperforming their sibling, which puts immense pressure on them to always be perfect. Meanwhile, the child who feels like they're always in second place might start to believe that they are less capable, less loved, or less worthy. These beliefs, left unchecked, can turn into deep-rooted insecurities, damaging their self-esteem and shaping how they view themselves for years to come. Now, as parents, caregivers, or even mentors, our role is not to set children against one another, but to recognize that each one of them is on their own journey. Every child has their own unique abilities, challenges, and strengths that deserve to be celebrated on their own terms. It's crucial to understand that they are not competing in the same race. When we compare them, we strip away the individuality that makes each child special. Instead of fostering rivalry, we should focus on nurturing their personal growth and letting them know that their path is their own, independent of anyone else's achievements. Genuine praise, when offered sincerely, can be one of the most powerful ways to help a child build their sense of self-worth. But that praise must be tied to their individual efforts and character, rather than how they measure up to someone else. When we focus on recognizing a child's personal milestones, whether it's mastering a new skill, showing kindness, or displaying resilience, we help them develop a strong sense of confidence. They begin to understand that their value is not in comparison to others, but is rooted in their unique qualities and contributions. It's also important to think about the tone and words we use when talking to our children. Words can lift a child up, or they can leave deep scars. Children are incredibly attuned to the way we speak to them, and our comments can shape how they see themselves and their place in the world. We should aim to speak words that encourage and uplift, showing them that they are valued for who they are as individuals. When we do this, we equip them with the emotional resilience they'll need to face the world with confidence. As time passes, children who grow up feeling valued for their own unique qualities are far more likely to carry that confidence into adulthood. They'll be better prepared to face the challenges life throws their way because they know their worth is not tied to someone else's success or failure. These are the children who will understand that their journey is theirs alone and that their ability to overcome obstacles comes from their own strength, not from how they compare to others. When we avoid the trap of comparing siblings, we also help to build stronger, healthier relationships between them. Instead of rivalry, we nurture a bond where they can support and appreciate one another's differences. They will grow to see each other not as competition, but as allies, learning to lift each other up rather than tear each other down. This, in turn, creates a family dynamic that is built on respect, understanding, and love, a foundation that will serve them well throughout their lives. 4. Don't dwell on the negative aspects of life. Yes, that's true. As you grow older, you will never dwell on the negative aspects of life. Now let us make one thing clear from the start. Life will never stop presenting challenges, whether it's in the form of health problems, financial struggles, or emotional losses. But constantly focusing on those issues, that's where the real problem begins. We must remind ourselves that our mindset shapes how we experience this stage of life. You see, when we dwell too long on the difficulties, it becomes easy to slip into a pessimistic outlook, which affects not only our happiness, but the well-being of those around us, especially our children. And as we grow older, isn't one of our deepest desires to leave a positive impact on those we love? You may be wondering how to shift this mindset, especially when life feels heavier than before. First, we need to realize that the power lies in our perspective. Challenges are inevitable, but the way we respond to them is entirely within our control. Think about it. How many times have you looked back on a hardship, only to realize that it shaped you in ways you never expected? This is the essence of life, the ability to transform difficulties into lessons. As we grow older, this transformation becomes even more critical because it teaches those watching us, our children and grandchildren, that resilience and positivity are the true markers of wisdom, not just age. Now let's talk about gratitude. We often overlook it, yet it's one of the most powerful tools we have. Even in old age, there is always something to be grateful for, whether it's the warmth of a sunny morning, the laughter of grandchildren, or the satisfaction of a life well lived. When we focus on these moments, it shifts our energy and the energy of those around us. Your children, for example, will notice how you approach life's challenges. They'll see that you are not defined by your difficulties, but by your ability to find joy despite them. This mindset creates an atmosphere where positivity flourishes, enriching not just your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. It's essential to recognize that life is never a one-sided coin. Yes, hardships exist, but so do moments of joy, even in old age. When we acknowledge the full spectrum of life, we create a sense of balance. And isn't balance what we all strive for as we age? When you sit down with your children or grandchildren, you don't want to be the person who only talks about aches and pains. You want to share stories of hope, joy, and gratitude. These are the stories that will stay with them long after you're gone, shaping how they approach their own lives. By focusing on the positive aspects of life, you give your children a priceless gift. You show them that happiness is possible at any age. When they see you navigating your later years with grace and gratitude, they learn that life is not something to fear as they age, but something to embrace. And this is a lesson far more valuable than any material inheritance. It's a legacy of wisdom, resilience, and a positive mindset that they will carry with them long after you're no longer here. We want to emphasize how important it is to model this kind of attitude because your mindset doesn't just affect you. It has a ripple effect on those you love. If you focus on the negative, it can create an atmosphere of tension and stress, which weighs heavily on your relationships. On the other hand, when you make a conscious decision to highlight the good in your life, you foster a sense of peace and joy that lifts the spirits of everyone around you. This doesn't mean ignoring the hardships, but it does mean refusing to let them define you. Think about it. Wouldn't you want your children to remember you as someone who lived life fully, despite its challenges? Someone who found reasons to smile, even when the world seemed heavy? This doesn't mean pretending that hardships don't exist, but it means choosing not to dwell on them. By doing so, you create a life that is not only rich in experiences, but also rich in meaning. We also have to remember that life, even in its later stages, is still full of opportunities for growth. Old age doesn't mean the end of learning or evolving. In fact, some of the most profound lessons come during this time, because we finally have the perspective to understand life's deeper truths. When we stop dwelling on the negatives and start focusing on what's truly important, love, relationships, moments of joy, we open ourselves up to a richness that transcends physical limitations. The choice is always yours. Will you allow the difficulties to overshadow the beauty that still exists in your life? Or will you focus on the positive, teaching those around you that life, at any stage, is defined by how we choose to respond? We believe the answer is clear. By focusing on gratitude, embracing both the joys and hardships of life, and choosing to highlight the positive, you set the stage for a life that is not only fulfilling for you, but serves as an inspiring example for the generations to come. Number 5. Do not depend financially on your children. After retirement in your old age, some people meet financial problems they didn't anticipate. They might look to their children for support, thinking it's a natural step in life. But let's be honest here. Financial dependence on your children can introduce complexities into your relationship that go beyond money. The gift of allowing your children the freedom to live their own lives without having to shoulder your financial responsibilities is invaluable. We want to make it clear that this isn't about being prideful. It's about protecting the bond you share with your children, ensuring it's built on love and not obligation. Because, as much as we love our children and they love us, the weight of financial dependency can bring feelings of guilt or even resentment. When you depend too much on your children for money, you might not notice the strain it creates until it's too late. They are likely managing their own families, careers, and dreams. And adding the responsibility of supporting their parents can pull them in different directions. We've seen this many times in families. The relationship starts to shift, and it's no longer based on mutual respect and affection, but becomes entangled with expectations and unspoken obligations. This isn't to say that receiving help when needed is wrong. Far from it. But there's a difference between accepting help in a moment of need and becoming financially dependent. The best way to avoid placing this burden on your children is to plan for your financial future long before you retire. Retirement doesn't mean the end of financial responsibility. It's actually a time when you need to be more mindful of your resources. By setting aside savings and investments now, or even seeking advice from a financial planner, you maintain your financial independence. And that independence is worth more than money. It's about maintaining your dignity, your sense of control, and the ability to make your own decisions without feeling like you're a burden on anyone. There may be moments when financial help from your children is necessary. Life can throw unexpected challenges our way, but in those situations, transparency is key. Let your children know what's happening and be clear about your needs without making them feel cornered. Respect their boundaries because they have their own lives to navigate. What you want to avoid is creating a situation where your children feel obligated to help, rather than offering assistance out of love and a genuine desire to support you. When help is given out of love, it strengthens the relationship. When it's given out of obligation, it can chip away at that connection. We've seen how these dynamics play out over time. Children who feel obligated to support their parents financially often struggle with guilt. They feel torn between wanting to help and the need to prioritize their own families and goals. This is where resentment can quietly grow. And we know that resentment, left unaddressed, can damage even the closest relationships. By ensuring that any financial support comes from a place of mutual understanding and respect, you're safeguarding your relationship from these pitfalls. Let's be clear. This is not about rejecting the love and support of your children. It's about creating a balance where your children can help you if they choose to, without feeling like they have no other option. This balance is vital for preserving the integrity of the parent-child relationship. It allows both sides to maintain their dignity and autonomy while still providing opportunities for love and support when needed. We urge you to approach your financial future with intention. Talk to professionals, create a plan, and make decisions that prioritize your independence. In doing so, you set an example for your children. You teach them the importance of planning, of responsibility, and of handling life's challenges with foresight and wisdom. This lesson, in itself, is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. By maintaining financial independence, you're also preserving the quality of your interactions with your children. Conversations remain about the things that matter, your shared experiences, your love for each other, rather than revolving around financial concerns. The less your relationship is entangled in financial stress, the more room there is for meaningful connections. As we move forward in life, it's essential to remember that the role of a parent is not one that fades with age. Even in your later years, you are still a source of strength and guidance for your children. By managing your finances with care, you show them how to navigate life's later stages with grace and wisdom. You continue to lead by example, showing them that growing older doesn't mean losing control or becoming a burden. The most precious gift we can give our children is not our financial independence, but the freedom to love us without the weight of financial obligation hanging over their heads. By planning ahead, seeking the right advice, and maintaining transparency, we ensure that our relationships with our children remain strong, healthy, and rooted in mutual respect. This is how we continue to nurture the bond we've built over a lifetime, even in our old age. Number 6, do not disclose every health struggle. For you, what's the most important in your old age? Your health, without a doubt. But when we talk about health, it's not just about how you feel physically. It's also about how you choose to share your experiences with the people you love, especially your children. Now, we know it's essential to keep them informed about serious health matters, but there's a fine line between keeping them updated and overwhelming them with constant details. You see, while it's comforting to have someone to lean on, there's a certain wisdom in knowing what to share and when. When we regularly bring up every little discomfort, every ache, or every issue, it can be emotionally taxing on our children. They love you deeply, and each time they hear about a new problem, it's like they're sharing in that weight. It's not that they don't care, quite the opposite. They care so much that hearing about every small struggle can create an atmosphere of worry. Even if you don't intend it, this can lead them to feel anxious or stressed about your well-being. And that's something we want to be mindful of, isn't it? Think about how our words and stories can shape their feelings. When we focus on discussing health issues all the time, it can make them feel like they're always waiting for the next bad news. And that's not the relationship we want to cultivate with our children, is it? We want them to enjoy their time with us, to look forward to every call or visit, without the constant cloud of concern hanging over those moments. It's not about keeping secrets or pretending everything is perfect. It's about being selective with what we share. Significant health concerns absolutely need to be discussed. Your children should be aware of the important matters. But when it comes to the smaller day-to-day struggles, maybe it's worth considering whether every detail needs to be part of the conversation. This doesn't mean you're not being truthful. It means you're protecting their emotional well-being while still being open when it counts. Let's imagine the kind of relationship we want with our children as we age. We want it to be full of love, laughter, and connection. If every interaction becomes centered around health updates, it can feel like the relationship is shifting away from that. It can start to feel like they're becoming more of a caretaker than a child. And that's not what we want for them or for ourselves. We want to keep the joy alive in those interactions, don't we? By focusing on the good moments and maintaining a positive outlook, we not only protect our children from unnecessary worry, but also give them the gift of our presence. It's important for them to see that despite any health challenges, we're still full of life and positivity. This resilience, this ability to find joy despite difficulty, teaches them so much about how to approach life's challenges themselves. When we choose to be discreet about certain health struggles, we allow the relationship to remain balanced and centered on connection rather than caregiving. You see, when we only share the most important updates, it gives those conversations more weight. They'll know that if you're bringing something up, it's because it matters, and that can actually help them feel more secure, rather than always feeling on edge, waiting for the next piece of concerning news. It's about creating a relationship that is rooted in love and warmth, not in constant concern. Think of all the wonderful stories, experiences, and memories you could share with your children that have nothing to do with health. Those are the moments that strengthen your bond, the times that make life rich and beautiful. Wouldn't you rather those moments fill your conversations, rather than a rundown of the latest doctor's visit or the new ache in your back? How do you want your children to feel when they think of you? Wouldn't it be better for them to see you as someone who, despite facing challenges, remained optimistic and full of spirit? By being thoughtful about what we share, we help shape the relationship into something meaningful, something that's about connection and joy, not burden and worry. By focusing on the brighter side of life, by choosing to share the moments of love and connection more often than the moments of struggle, you're enhancing your own experience as well. It's about living fully, despite the challenges that come with aging, and allowing your relationship with your children to flourish in the most positive way. So while your health is undoubtedly important, so too is the way you choose to talk about it. Let's make space for the moments that matter, for the joy of being together, and for the love that binds you and your children. This balance between openness and discretion is one of the greatest gifts you can offer to both yourself and your family. 7. Always encourage their independence. The greatest gifts we can give our children is the freedom to live their own lives without guilt or obligation. Think about this for a moment. As parents, we often find ourselves wanting to remain close, especially as we age. It's natural to long for that sense of connection, to feel needed. But what if, instead of holding them close, we encourage them to fly? You see, one of the most powerful things we can do for our children is to let go of the idea that they owe us anything, whether it's time, attention, or even proximity. When we remove that expectation, we free them to truly become who they are meant to be. This, in turn, strengthens the bond, not weakens it. Imagine, if you will, a relationship built on trust and understanding, where your children know they are loved unconditionally, but are not burdened by the weight of your expectations. Encouraging them to pursue their own dreams, even if that means they are less available to us, sends a powerful message. We trust you. We believe in you. And trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. When our children feel this from us, it empowers them in ways that words alone cannot. But this isn't just about letting them go physically. It's about an emotional release as well. Too often, we hold on to the idea that we should always be involved in every aspect of their lives, but doing so may create unintended pressure. The greatest gift we can give is the space for them to make their own decisions, even when those decisions lead them far from us. It's not about distancing ourselves from them. It's about allowing them the freedom to live without the constant fear of letting us down. Think of the relief they might feel knowing they can thrive without carrying the weight of guilt or obligation. As they grow and build their own lives, they will encounter challenges, joys, and experiences that we may not always be part of. That's okay. In fact, that's a sign of healthy independence. We want to raise individuals who can stand on their own, not ones who feel they must constantly seek our approval or validation. By encouraging their independence, we give them the tools to face life confidently, knowing they are capable without the added pressure of making choices for our sake. When we foster this type of relationship, built on mutual respect and trust, we create an environment where love flourishes naturally. Your children will know that you are always there for them, not because you need them, but because you choose to be. And that choice, free of guilt or expectation, is far more powerful than any sense of obligation. This freedom allows your children to maintain their autonomy while still knowing they are deeply supported. It's important to remember that as parents, our role evolves. When they are young, we guide them closely. But as they mature, our guidance should shift. Instead of directing their every step, we stand beside them, offering support when needed, but never infringing upon their independence. It's in this delicate balance that we truly see our children thrive. They will always know they have a home with us, but that home is a place of love, not a cage. Encouraging their independence also means being comfortable with the idea that they will make mistakes. They will face hardships, and that's part of life. We must resist the urge to swoop in and fix everything for them. Instead, let's be there to offer guidance when asked, but more importantly, to trust that they are capable of learning and growing through their own experiences. This is how they build resilience. What happens when we give our children the freedom to live their own lives? They return to us not out of duty, but out of love. They come back because they want to, not because they feel they must. And when they do, those moments are richer, more meaningful, because they are rooted in genuine connection, not obligation. The relationship deepens when it is based on mutual respect and the understanding that love does not equate to dependence. So as we navigate the journey of parenting, especially as we age, let's embrace the idea that one of the greatest acts of love we can offer our children is the freedom to live their lives on their own terms. It's in this freedom that they will find their strength, and it's in our trust that they will find their confidence. By doing so, we create a bond that transcends distance, built not on the need to be close, but on the joy of simply being together, whenever life allows. In the end, the gift of independence is a reflection of the love we have for them, a love that is not possessive or controlling, but one that celebrates who they are becoming. And in that celebration, we find our own peace, knowing we have given them the space to grow, to thrive, and to live freely, knowing they are always loved. The power of silence, especially in the later stages of life, is something we should all take to heart. The things we choose not to say often speak volumes, sometimes even more than the words we utter. As we grow older, learning to hold back certain criticisms or grievances allows space for deeper understanding, growth, and positivity in our relationships, particularly with our children. By doing so, we encourage them to move forward with optimism and take responsibility for their own paths, free from the weight of unspoken resentments or unresolved issues. Through our silence and thoughtful words, we can lead by example, showing that true wisdom comes from within. The ability to offer guidance without always needing to speak can inspire those around us, helping the next generation to embrace compassion, patience, and a life filled with purpose. This is the legacy we can leave behind. A life where our actions, rather than our words, have the greatest impact. If you found these insights inspiring, we'd love to hear your thoughts and stories in the comments below. Let us know how silence has played a role in your own life, or how you've navigated delicate moments with your loved ones. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your family and friends, and support us by subscribing to our channel. Your support means everything to us, and together we can continue sharing more valuable content like this. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you.